I think Khabib is certainly I think career-wise, he's one of the greatest of all time. I think his career would have to be one of the greatest of all time, up there with George St. Pierre. Like their careers have been picture perfect, or just about. Like even George, he's had a couple of losses and just come back, and that in itself leads to more of a heroic tale in a career sense. So in a career perspective, I think Khabib and like people like George St. Pierre have that picture perfect career, greatest of all time career setting. In terms of fighting in actual combat, I would have to lean towards Jon Jones. He's probably the most dangerous fighter ever in mixed martial arts it's ever been. I think, like if we're looking at fighting as a whole, not pound for pound, like if we're looking at fighting as a whole, Jones has the perfect physique, talent, skill set, power. He's got it all in terms of just a combat perspective. But if we're looking at careers, he's had his ups and downs.
Jon Jones is the GOAT for sure, but he's probably right up there, number 2 or something. I don't know, probably like a number 2. Jones is beaten. This was something my coach back home said that was profound and correct. Jones has beaten 3 generations of champions and athletes. Khabib's only beaten this generation, so to say that he's the GOAT might be premature. But I mean, obviously he's a bad motherfucker. But I think Jones is undoubtedly that guy. Still, he's just done too much.
Jones is definitely up there with the greatest of all time, but he has lost.
It was a DQ though. But yeah, I know what you mean.
A loss is a loss.
Yeah.
If I get disqualified, no one's gonna live that down. Antonio McKee lost. AJ McKee lost. You know what I mean? A loss is a loss. Yes, Jon Jones, skill-wise, one of the greatest talents around still to this day, I feel. But people don't like Khabib's style. It's the same style as my father's. I'm going to take you down, and I'm going to hold you, and I'm going to ground and pound and beat the brakes off. You can't stop it, so you can't be mad at it. So to me, yes, he still is one of the greatest of all time. Number 1 greatest of all time, he's undefeated. You can't take that from him. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's undefeated.
I got Khabib, man. I do. Just his legacy, man. It's not tarnished. There's not all these different drug tests and SIDA tests and all the antics and the disrespect. And Jones is good, man, but to be the GOAT for me, it's not just – it's outside the cage too, man. It's not just, how many wins you have. I have 14 titles. It's his attitude, man. Khabib is such a good person, and I think that goes a long way. I think that means more. You could be a piece of shit and be good, but if you're really good and dominant and one of the best people on the planet, I think that means more to the community and the world, and you have more reach, and you can affect more people, and I think that's more important,
Yeah, Khabib's the GOAT. Khabib's the greatest. I don't care. Jon Jones can talk 15-0 title fights. A lot of those are split decision, controversial decisions. Khabib lost, 1 round in his entire UFC career ever? He's had 13 fights, but they're all against Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. They're against top opponents, you know what I mean? And didn't lose a round. Hasn't lost a fight, didn't lose a round. Didn't have problems with drugs, didn't have problems with PEDs, didn't have any of those problems. Like, that's the GOAT. That's what it should be. Dominate every single second of every single fight. I don't care about your 15-0 title runs. Like, that's cool, good for you. Like, you're a fantastic fighter. I'm not taking away from that, from Jon Jones. But Khabib is just on another level. I think he's a GOAT. I think especially now. When's the last time Jones has fought? It's been a while. Khabib just fought, so you got to put him at the top of the list.
Numbers, the numbers don't lie. You know what I mean? And like, to go undefeated is just awesome itself. You know what I mean? He's in a category on his own. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I understand what Jones is saying, because he's a man that's just been in the game for so long, and he's had that name for so long. And that's a different tactic. You know what I mean? When you have a name for so long and people are just tagging on you on social media, are you going to do this? Are you going to beat him? And you got to go out to the cage and show that every single time. And he's done that every single time. I just think that personally, they're just at a category of their own too. So, they're both great in my eyes, but I mean, it just matters who's going to go at undefeated or who's going to be who had that name for so long. You know what I mean? So, I'll just leave that to the fans.
Oh man, it really depends, man. It really depends. My no biasy, like with no restrictions or anything. I gotta say John Jones, but with restrictions, I'll say Khabib because for two different reasons. Like the restrictions, we had USADA and everything and all that stuff. It kind of puts a little bit of an asterisk there for me for John Jones. John Jones has fought the toughest of the tough competition, especially in the 205 division, like the legends on legends. So if I'm looking at that, that to me, like I have him as like the greatest of all time for sure. But Khabib arguably only lost a couple of rounds in his fights, made everything look easy. Got his fights, got the big fights, and then just walks away on top. He could go on that run, but he's just I'm gonna retire now. So his potential for being the greatest of all time and locking it in for sure, and locking that in, we're not gonna get to see it, but everybody knows where his potential is at. And I can call him the greatest of all time. But if we have no restrictions, John Jones.